printed sheet is under you.
Oh, great. Since we're waiting for quorum, but Adam is super excited to do a presentation for us. He's getting ready to go. I think if that's okay, maybe we'll start with that. If we have quorum later, we can go back to approval of minutes and any other business that needs board approval. All right? Adam and I had a conversation about the branding and the program, the Lake Friendly Living program. It has been here and in place for a while. I have stumbled across some folks who don't necessarily understand. They get it in theoretically what it's for, but I thought if I could just run through what it's there about, and one of the things that we can push out to further educate and promote that program that we have.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Matt, can you see that okay?
Yep, sounding good on my end.
Okay.
Great.
Do you want me to click for you?
Yeah. So first I want to thank Michelle, and she was more than instrumental in drafting these slides for today's presentation. So what is the Lake Friendly Living Coalition of the Finger Lakes? The Owasco Lake Watershed Management Council is a founding member of this coalition. And the idea came out of a drive towards public education and really driving conservation practices, adoption through consistent messaging. And messaging common and regional. The program also focuses on public initiative and events, and I'll talk some about that as I move forward, and recognition, right? So identifying the importance of recognizing all that's being done in the watershed and everyone who stepped up to the table to make progress towards conservation. So again, this is a regional initiative across the Finger Lakes. 9 of the members have associated programming, and this includes Owasco, Skaneateles, Cayuga Lakes, and others. And the overarching focus is on stewardship to reduce pollution. So it's sort of considered the bottom-up approach, reducing pollution to reduce the manifestation of lake perturbations in the region. And it's also founded in a pledge program. And so most of the member organizations of the coalition ask for residential commitments to adopt lake-friendly practices. And these various organizations involved on the coalition have websites and have links on their websites to take their pledge. The pledges aren't exactly identical, but many of the features are similar. And for Owasco, municipalities, businesses, and associations have been given the opportunity to participate, and I can provide an example of where we've made an advancement there. And for some examples of the various pledge components, they may include minimizing commercial fertilizers and chemicals, using native plants and rain gardens, managing stormwater effectively, maintaining riparian buffers, and proper yard waste disposal. So on the Management Council's website, we have a separate web page that talks about the Lake Friendly Living program and offers a link to the pledge specifically. And so for some of the features of ours, and again, these are not identical from lake to lake, but ours include a commitment to refrain from using excessive lawn fertilizers and chemicals to prevent harmful algal blooms. Use of limited phosphorus-free fertilizers as governed under New York State law and applied properly. A commitment to maintain septic systems. The reduction of hazardous wastes and ensuring proper disposal of wastes. The proper disposal of prescription drugs so that they're not flushed. The maintenance of vehicles, watercrafts, and other recreational vehicles to reduce fluid leaks, as well as the spread of aquatic invasive species. So clean, drain, dry, of course, is the messaging that's common for watercraft stewardship at the various lake access locations. A commitment to using water wisely, choosing not to dispose of leaf litter or leaf clippings in waterways or ditches, and striving towards the adoption of recommended best management practices for land use activities within the watershed. So those are the components of our particular pledge. Again, because this is really about consistent messaging and education, we have some signage that's associated with our program. Residential landowners that reside within the watershed and take the pledge have the opportunity to receive lawn signs, right? So some of them have them adorned in their lawn, and we've seen to some extent some more interest from adjacent landowners with the use of this signage.
Sorry about that.
No problem. So here's an example of municipal participation. The City of Auburn officially took the Lake Friendly Living Pledge in 2020 via a resolution and proclaimed May as Lake Friendly Living Awareness Month. And so thereafter, the city gives a Lake Friendly Living program endorsement as part of an annual proclamation, and they promote the Lake Friendly Living community event each year via that proclamation. There are also some metal signs, somewhat more durable, that some of the municipalities who have taken the municipal pledge have adorned along their municipal roadways. And so municipalities, associations, and businesses that reside within the watershed and take the pledge have received some of these more ruggedized metal signs. So many of you have probably seen some of these secured on some of the signage throughout the watershed. Just for a couple of examples of events, at least in Cayuga County, for Lake Friendly Awareness Month in May, specifically for this year. So what were our May events for both Owasco and Cayuga Lake? And again, these events take place across the region for those members of the coalition. For Owasco Lake, we had a Lake Friendly litter pickup event focused along Emerson Park. That was on May 9th. And Cayuga Lake had a native plants for healthy watersheds activity at the Plantsman Nursery. So how can folks help? And people are curious, like, okay, so there's messaging, well, what do we actually do? We can encourage more pledges from participants, encourage the adoption of best practices, which is we've been making great strides in recent decades, help to promote and join cleanup events, and educate neighbors and community groups on the program and the associated messaging. So part of our initiative here in presenting with our group of colleagues here in this water quality management agency is to brainstorm. And once Michelle gives her presentation, I think we'll open it up to the group and maybe we can come up with some ideas to help further this messaging campaign. Thanks.
Thanks, Dan.
Oh, and one more point I wanted to make is this is not, in my view, this is not a proprietary message for the Management Council. Really, this should be accessible to all who are interested, right? Whether it be Parks and Trails, Cayuga County Planning, Cayuga County Soil and Water, Partners for Healthy Watersheds. I mean, this is messaging that's supposed to be community accessible and for all of us to use to help promote conservation. Thank you.
All right. Any quick questions for me, Adam? I know that Michelle has some follow-up. And we can come back to some questions after, like you said, like Adam said, after we continue. Are there other municipalities, Adam? You said the City of Auburn. Are there other municipalities that have signed the pledge?
Yes, yeah, the village of Moravia for one. I think a couple of the villages did, but I know Moravia specifically. Right. They also have some of the signage installed down there as well.
The larger, probably the metal, like on road signs and.
That's right. Yeah. So what I've learned when it comes to road signage, you have to be careful. Like it either has to be municipal roads or county roads if it's endorsed by the county. Yeah. State roads, it's like you know. It may make sense to stay clear.
Yeah, yes, that is true. Okay, thanks.
Okay, I'm going to talk about the residential guidelines to protect water quality in Cayuga County. Carrie's got some if you didn't pick one up when you came in. So we developed this in we finalized in 2020, so we mainly worked on 2019, the WQMA Nutrient and Sediment Working Group. This document was designed to help homeowners reduce pollution from stormwater runoff that flows from their properties into lakes, streams, and other water bodies. For those online, this is what it looks like. Nick Colas from our office designed it at the time. So we adopted it in February, on February 6, 2020, and the Cayuga County Legislature adopted it on February 25th, 2020. It became a high priority recommended practice in the Owasco Lake 9E plan to promote the adoption and implementation of these guidelines. Adam distributed to his group and to make available on their websites and possibly adopt it. So currently, these are the locations where this document is: the WQMA website, the Cayuga County website, Wasco Lake Watershed Management Council, Cayuga Lake Watershed Network, and Central New York Waterways Association, towns Aurelius, Brutus, and Genoa, and the village of Aurora.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions on the document?
Real quick, so the county legislature actually adopted these residential guidelines as sort of like formal like policy to encourage homeowners to do these actions?
They also encourage towns and villages to adopt it themselves.
Not the current
Yeah.
membership.
Not
Sure.
And one of the reasons I just wanted to review some of this is because these programs are excellent. I think one of the things that we continue to try to do is push out the information that's there. There is some great information that's already there that if you don't put it on the top of somebody's inbox, they won't see it anymore. I think the signage is great. People do know the branding very well throughout our entire region. Does anybody? No one owns that branding though. Does someone own the branding of Lake Friendly?
I don't
We're
believe
aware of?
so.
I don't believe so
Yeah.
either. Okay. But again, with everyone just being inundated with the information, I just thought it would be great to bring this top of mind. We spend a lot of time with our lake associations, and they have members who are always saying, what can I do on my property? They might not own run a commercial property or a farm or something else, but they want to be in alignment with what these best practices are. So I just think by putting this back in our minutes and bringing this back up, it gives a lot of our lake associations something to push out to their memberships and people who are interested. It is not as heavy of a lift as it probably was 10 years ago. A lot of it is more well-known, but at the same time, people are inundated with messaging, I think, about this. And so I think this is just a good idea to show the resources and the investment that, this group has put together, that Adam's team has put together, and even with Michelle pointing out the previous moves by the legislature, they are forgotten, or they can be easily forgotten. So I think one of the big pushes for us here is to make sure that those who come to us and say, what can I do on my residential or a small commercial property, we want to make sure that we're giving them the same tools, and the same information that we're providing on a much larger scale, from 90 plans to entire watershed plans. So that was really why I kind of asked to bring this back to the forefront. It puts it back in our minutes, we put it back out to our membership, and just so everybody here knows what the resources that are available. So I appreciate it. I know it's a little bit redundant, Adam, from what you do day to day, and Michelle, but I also think that it's good to make a huge portion of this group, like half of this group, are our lake associations, and their membership wants to know what can I do on my level. They may not manage thousands of acres and may feel like, well, maybe what I do doesn't really matter. And I never wanted to make it seem like that. I wanted to make it seem like, these are the practices you can have there. So as we look at these, and as understanding that the documentation from 2020 does have some years on it, if there are things that we think need to be updated, it would behoove this board at some point to maybe collate those and put information back to the legislature if we thought that we wanted to update the guidelines that we have, for example, that are there. Like I said, I think we have better uptake of those practices now, but that does not mean that we're done. That doesn't mean we're done with what we're doing. And I know in many of the businesses and the things that the health department touch in the watershed, that some of these are ever evolving. And so if we need to update that information, Greg, if there's something you think we should update on more on the industry side of it, then let's look at these documents, provide that information to myself and Michelle, and see if any of them need to be updated in this process of just re-educating the public on what these programs are and what levers and tools they have available to them to move forward. Does that make sense?
So I'll mention to you, Doug, and I'll let Michelle add anything to this that she wants. With this current fiscal year's FLOPA budget and looking at next year's state fiscal year FLOPA budget, Michelle and I have talked a lot about developing some residential water quality programming, education outreach that would also include things like compost bins or grain barrels, or how to build a rain garden and get
Great.
hopefully partner with somebody that could give away some plants and stuff that they could use. So that's still kind of, we were almost there developing it, and then unfortunately we lost some staff. So we're trying to kind of get back into that, hopefully with some help from a new hire here soon, to be able to partner with our other folks in the county and the region to help do that and run those programs. So that would be a good opportunity to also include information about lake friendly living, because everybody's in a watershed basically. So as we look at developing those programs and any kind of beyond FLOPA logos that might go on anything that we're giving away, we might be able to incorporate some of the lake friendly stuff too. We'll have to see.
That's great, and that's exactly the type of outreach that I think this can be folded into.
I don't remember what you're starting. If there's anything you want to add, I don't remember what you guys were starting with.
Well, the website also has information on how to help, but it's the website's kind of dated. The way it was designed, I'm not sure how much I can redesign it at the time, but we may look at moving it to another location.
And which website is it?
The WQMA website.
Okay.
I've started doing a little more social media of my own posts, because usually I just share posts.
Yeah.
I had one on pet waste, and I had one on August is Water Quality Awareness Month.
Do we need to bring a proposal to this group to do a look at updating, moving, and upgrading the WQMA website?
I don't think at this time.
Okay.
We've tried to update it a couple times. We formed committees, but they never really went anywhere.
Well, I guess I'm wondering, it would be, that's a funding thing at that point, like if we would be.
Right.
Do you think the board needs to make a recommendation that we go down the road of finding funding and updating this critical piece of outreach? In particular, if we're not able to integrate, current social media technology to that, and that would be helpful, and do some automation to it?
There's some options. So right now, our department budget includes funding for WQMA for various things, including our annual hosting and web services, right? Through GoDaddy and Iron Design for the website. We've looked at some platforms like Wix, where we could do a free website that's a lot more user-friendly as far as widgets and graphics and swapping things in and out and integrating social media. So it's just a matter of when we finally think we're ready to make that move. If the group feels you want to update and tweak the logo, the extent of that tweak, whether we can just do it in-house with planning staff, or if we want professional designers to do it, the scale of free to very expensive. We can have that conversation going forward, but I know that Michelle was working on some ideas and some things that she thought she might want to update or switch around in there. So maybe if we get to a point, again, once we have more staff, she has a little more time to kind of sit with it and maybe come with a proposal for us of things that she wants changed or would suggest changing or updating.
Yeah.
We can decide at that point.
I guess that's my point. If there's a capacity issue for doing that, but this board thinks that it's something that we should be investing in, then it would be up to this board to kind of.
I mean, I know that there's certain things that Michelle can update currently on the current website, but because we have that annual contract with Iron Design,
Yep.
they maintain control on the back end of a lot of things, right? To make sure that we have to pay them to change things.
Right.
And it's things that we shouldn't have to pay someone to change, right? Like anybody that's got a website understands, like if you're not managing it yourself, they're in business to make money. So I guess it's just a question of how much do we want changed? And if we do a wholesale change, making sure that that proposal and contract at that time, whenever we've secured funding, however to do it, includes full ownership and access for WQMA in the county, and not having to have an annual contract with someone. I mean, it's not a ton of money, but it's money that could go elsewhere.
Yeah. And that's currently coming out of your budget?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was supposed to be full access, but you know how consultants are.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
They kept stalling, and we did the original website with an Emerson Foundation grant.
Right. That may be something that we can pursue again. It's been a while. Gosh, it's been almost 10 years.
Yeah, at least.
Okay. So it's probably time.
I was
Right.
actually thinking about maybe doing just a stormwater or like a residential education page as like a start off to see.
Okay. If there's something that you think that a board action that you'd need, or the board to seek funding for or something, we can do that.
Okay.
And support that by resolution once you have a operational plan, once you have some more capacity. Okay? Good. Any other comments on that, on both the presentations or the outreach and update? Yeah, Greg?
Yeah, number 11, compost pile should be located at least 35 feet from the lake or water course. Wasn't there something in the updated rules and regs? I thought it was more like 100 feet, if anybody remembers.
I have to check. I don't recall offhand, Greg.
Probably want to be consistent,
Sure. Yep. We'll take a look at that.
Okay.
and I don't know what they are currently, the current ones, but I remember we talked about it.
And I assume with the date of this documentation that some of that has, some of the language has changed, so. Yep.
Thanks, Greg.
Good.
When somebody, so when a municipality, property owner, so they have to, they officially sign something, like, it's not maybe a legal document, right? But
No, that
they
actually,
declare, I want to do this.
I kind of had the same question, like,
So,
what is
Yeah,
the,
what happened, so is there like,
what's the pledge
is there like
vehicle?
performance measures? I mean, how do we, I guess it's great to stick a sign in my yard, but what did I do? What did I do to earn the sign? So then, maybe as part of this,
Can someone take it away?
Or to keep the sign,
Yeah.
right? Like, if you get so
Right.
many citations
you get
from the
it,
inspectors, like.
you get it revoked. if
You're
you're not-
slacker,
So you have some bland property with erosion issues, and you plant flowers and put in a rain garden, you stop your erosion, and you got like, oh, great, so here's what it was before, and now here it is after. So then, like, who actually know? I'm not trying to like pour water in this thing, no pun intended, but it's just so like, because what I'm going at is like, is there a test case, somebody that would be willing to say, look, here was my non-watershed friendly property before I took the pledge, and then they implemented a bunch of things, and maybe took before and after pictures, and then, look, it's beautiful, and there's butterflies, and everything's great, so maybe that's like, if you're talking about like a little video or something,
Yeah.
money is no object, somebody could say, look, and proudly have their sign, and whatever, so maybe there's somebody who would be willing to be that. And I don't know, maybe there's in other watersheds that's happening, I don't know, so but like,
No, I think you're right.
how
I
do you
think,
know anybody's actually doing anything?
Yeah.
But there must be some people, I'm sure, embrace it fully and go to it on their property. It was like, maybe we should know about those.
and I think Michelle's point of maybe having something, a landing page that's very specific to this, that would show the before and afters. I know that the soil and water conservation districts,
Do it, they
usually
do that
their
all the
annual
time,
report,
yeah,
that's,
before
it's
and
literally,
after,
this
yeah.
is what was before and after.
Yeah.
Very powerful visuals, something that's, I think, to Michelle's point, easier to update and keep refreshed and keep
Sure.
the content current is something that would be crucial to the outreach of this program.
But there might also be an opportunity, whether it's the inspectors or whoever, just go out with the phone. If you've got some willing people to give testimonials or be an ambassador,
Yeah.
maybe just throw a short video up of like why they're proud to have taken this pledge and what it means to them.
Yeah.
That might go farther with more residents signing on than just government people telling them what to do.
Yeah, the highlighting the successes is usually better social media than the punitive neighbor who comes
Bland
over.
bureaucratic stuff.
Right.
There's-
And it is lake friendly sign revoked.
Yeah, right,
For mowing his lawn too close.
right. Although probably a good, it
His
would,
compost pile was 34.5 feet.
yeah. I mean, someone who was probably more social media savvy than myself might be able to post something ironic like that, or something, some satire to that effect, and it probably would get tremendous traction.
Oh, you could probably have a lot of fun with it, I'm sure. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, but showing best case scenarios or showing before and afters is vital to continuing to promote this. And again, just bubble it back to the top to say, this is what I can do on my residential property, like in a lot of cases.
I think the rain,
Recognition.
Right, sure.
You get a star, I'm
Give
a
a certificate
star,
of suitable
lake-friendly
training
living.
afterwards.
Sure.
A top-tier sign.
Yep.
Right, you have like
I'm a star.
bronze, silver, gold, platinum level.
I would say probably just a lake-friendly liver and then a tier above it.
Recertify every year.
Like, you did something that,
Re-pledge, like,
You mowed
like
your-
your marriage vows, I don't know,
Sure.
redo the pledge,
Yeah.
I don't know, so.
No. And that kind of drip, drip, drip over time keeps
Sure.
the program relevant, keeps the
Because if nobody
branding
knows what
relevant.
it's doing, it's just
Yeah.
kind of like, well, what, I don't know.
Yep,
I mean, there's probably people doing lake-friendly living and they don't need a sign,
right, right.
and they didn't need a program, but whatever, so,
It would be ironic to me if we drove around and found anyone had a lake-friendly living sign next to a Chem Green lawn. Because
you have to take the sign.
I would take this sign away. No.
I think the park's a good example too with the rain gardens. That was like friendly living programs and it's,
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, as we looked at the list, I know that's something that Soil and Water and our department work on all the time. It's like riparian buffers, we're talking about all these things that we've implemented. And we get a lot of feedback, and not all of it is positive. Ironically, when you don't mow,
People get upset.
people get upset. People get upset,
I'm
but
fine with you mowing less, Doug.
so we actually probably don't have a lake-friendly living sign because we have to sign a pledge for that. But when we do our no-mows, we tend to do signage for all those. So we tend to make sure that there is some explanation out there. If it's acceptable to some people and not, that's okay. But those are constant programs that we're working on. And a lot of the stuff that Soil and Water does is not really signed or noticed. Ironically, it's funded a lot of times by programs similar to that, but it's not really done that way. So again, there's lots of opportunities to promote that more, and I think that if there are any of those that are out there, please bring it to this group. We'll promote it here, obviously, and then talk further as we get some better capacity on maybe upgrading our digital presence too. But I appreciate the feedback. The data that's out there, I think is great, and resharing it, I think is very important. That was the kind of the goal here.
Yeah, and there might be an opportunity, I know we've canceled all of our trainings for this year for our municipal planning boards and stuff due to staff, but maybe for next year in the spring, we can bring you guys in as speakers and stuff and maybe give the municipalities a training and some information on why, as a broader conversation on water quality management, why this is important and why they should be promoting it to their own residents. That might be an opportunity
Sure.
for a training next year.
Okay. Any other additions to this very successful work session? I appreciate everybody's input. Anybody online have anything that we didn't note? Okay, awesome. Do we have quorum?
no.
All right, do we want to real quick run through any of the WQMA Priority Working Group ad hoc committee reports? Communication outreach?
We've been putting out blog posts, again, thanks to Michelle and,
Yeah, I've been trying to focus them on the residential stormwater, so
Okay.
I've learned how to use Adobe Express, so I'm trying to make better posts.
All right, awesome. Good. Invasive species,
I don't have anything.
environmental health.
Oh, just so real quick, our Drilla is in week 6, week 4 and 6, 5 and 7. For the north and south zones near Aurora, for the hydrilla treatment sampling. We've unfortunately had to close, then open, then close, then open, then close the Wasco Yacht Club Beach because algae blooms have been really, seems to be there. If they were just a half a mile south, they probably wouldn't have a problem. There's something that seems to be unique almost about how
Right there.
there's that little cove or something. I don't know. Anyway, they're plagued with it now. So I just shut them down again yesterday. But knock on wood, there hasn't been like a lot of algae talk.
In Owasco.
Well, Wasco Lake, yeah, so, right, which is weird.
Cayuga's a mess.
So anyway, yeah, the yacht club's kind of getting plagued by beach closures, unfortunately. But Emerson Park has not had anything happen yet, so it's,
No,
which is also curious,
Yeah.
I guess. But anyway, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
We'll see what the next couple of weeks have to offer for algae, so. Anyway.
Are the yacht club closures based on visual observation?
Visual, and then, yeah, I mean, and they're classic. It's not even a question. You just, you get about 20 feet to the shore and you can already see, and it's pretty dense at some points too, so. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? So I'll give it just a real quick parks update on what's going on. We just talked about it. We actually do annual or maybe every other year mowing of some of the riparian buffer zones that are there to keep trees, woody materials, invasive species, things like that out there. So we do those in rotational mowings, so they're there. So we actually do have some buffer zones that we mow. We don't really mow them all the way down to the ground, but we take out a lot of the larger material and things like that to try to keep them accessible. We have varied the size, width of those. We've varied mowing locations where people prefer to fish. So we've moved those along based on some input from the public. So I think it's good to note that those practices can coexist with the other uses that are going on and the other uses that the public requires or requests. So I think that as long as we see those going on and that people are flexible for them, I think you can achieve both of those goals. Ours is obviously public participation and public usage of the property, as well as trying to keep up with current standards and having larger buffer zones and other riparian zones that we have out there. So it's a bit of a moving target, and as I think it should be, to try to achieve as much of it as you can in those areas. And the rotational mowing that we do in some of the parts of the property that we have where we don't mow or we mow annually saves hundreds and hundreds of gallons of fuel every year, which is an environmental saving, but also a budgetary saving, obviously. So those are things that we'll continue to do and try to educate the public on why that is, like why we're doing that. So I guess that's all I have.
Okay, cool. My turn?
Yeah.
So everyone saw Michelle's update of actual amazing stuff. I'll just very quickly say that we did successfully hire a senior GIS analyst. She's starting in 2 weeks, so we're very excited about that. And we're wrapping up interviews, hopefully today, for our open planner position. So hopefully that person will be starting by the end of the month. So ideally, when I see all your shining faces in September, we should be back to quote unquote full staff at 5, which would be great. I say quote unquote because we used to have 9 2 years ago, so,
Questions for Carrie?
Or for Michelle, because she did a bunch of great stuff that's in her.
Thank you, Michelle. No? Soil and water?
Big updates is that we finished Minnesota's Bay for the ABC program. I think we pulled about, I think what numbers were, I want to say 35 loads out of that, so it's a pretty good number this year. Right now we're on Wasco Lake, about halfway up, so we're making our way north. Not too bad this year with that. We're pulling maybe 4 loads out a day on average, so not too bad. Only got 1 boat on it for this year. We started working with Adam and his crew there to start the Sago project. So we're filling sandbags today, yesterday, and rest of the week to get ready for erosion sediment control reasons to isolate the work zone. That should be wrapped up hopefully by the end of the week. Get those in next week and we'll start cranking away some stream bank stabilization. Hydro seeder's been out. It's been broken. It's been fixed. It's been broken. It's been fixed. So it's just one of those years, I guess. We're putting for a new one. We got a new grant to update our hydro seeder because it's about 10 years old. So hopefully that gets rid of any of those headaches. Other than that, it's business as usual. It's been a good year so far, and hope the rains stay away. Yeah, we're not in Albany, so.
Was there a lot of water chestnut found in Little Sodas Bay? I saw a report on Facebook.
We haven't seen any.
Okay.
No. So if we did, we'd probably have to change things. I will say with the ABC program, this year's unique. I don't know if Doug touched on the permits. DEC is putting new permit regulations out there because the lakes are classified as a wetland now.
Yeah.
So we had to go through Wasco, so that came through within probably 2 weeks. We applied for Cayugas. We're still waiting to get the approval for that. Hopefully the next couple of days, we hopefully should see it.
I think at the last meeting you talked about it's just more extensive and now it's individual water bodies and yeah.
I'm kind of confused why they didn't approve the Cayuga Lake one thus far, just because I changed the name from Wasco to Cayuga Lake and everything essentially the same. Distance wise, in terms of acreage that we're taking out, it's different, but if they were good with that permit, they theoretically should have passed that one along through, but.
I see a lot of pictures on social media of your boats.
Yeah. People,
Somebody's like, what is this thing out there?
they're always interesting. And you can hear it chugging along pretty good sometimes.
Poor guys in the boat on a video, they don't know
Yeah.
that they're gonna be on
offered all sorts
Facebook
of
later.
things, drinks, food.
Like a riverboat casino.
Do you guys have like the district logo on the side of the boat somewhere?
We used to. I don't think we do anymore.
I was gonna say, I don't think
I don't
so.
think so. I think partly because it was a magnet before. I don't think we can put it on the current boat. It's not magnetic. I think, but sometimes it's good to people to know who we are, and sometimes it's not. So,
Just have that removable. Right, too many fishermen come up next to you, just yank it off the side.
yeah, unfortunately, I think that everybody knows who we are because we get phone calls left and right. Where are you? Where are you?
Right, yeah.
Sure.
But usually we can judge how bad the lake is, any given lake, based on the phone calls. And this year hasn't been too bad. Just the south end of Wasco, they was called, so it's about the worst that we've seen.
You guys should draw like little like lake monster, like old green face on the front, so it looks like he's eating the reef.
Oh, yeah, a head and a tail would be a lot of social media.
Oh, Pac-Man.
Oh, Pac-Man, that's good.
That's right there.
That's, yeah, we'll write that one down.
Tim, has the permit also limited the scope of what you can harvest when you're out there?
It limits how wide of a cutting area we can do. So usually it's 2 passes, so it's roughly 15 feet total. Because our head's about 8 feet, so there might be some overlap that we miss. So they're trying to restrict it to just 15 feet worth of cutting, 1 pass in, 1 pass out. And if there's areas where there's clear cut needed, in terms of like a marina, swimming areas, we had to put that specific into the permit. So, yeah, there's distances that we can't go, I think, closer than 3 feet, and we can't go beyond, I can't remember what the number was, 10 feet, something like that. So there's just kind of a zone. But again, if we're beyond 10 feet of water, we can't cut anything. So, yeah.
In depth.
In depth, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions for Tim?
Where is the product going? Who's good? I'm sure people want it for the
Yeah, a lot of
drinks or whatever. What are you doing with it?
Yeah, a lot of the farms, producers, some will take it.
He trolls it out to the center of the lake and
Just
just
middle,
dumps
just
it.
middle.
Just in the center of Lake Ontario?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It all depends. Some guys will take it and compost it. There's a
Is there
greenhouse
a
that takes
demand
it.
for it? I mean, are people, do they want it? Or just,
Some do, some don't. It's all depending upon if they like the smell of it. I mean, once it breaks down, it turns into sawdust, basically.
good
Powder.
for the garden?
Yeah, it's really good nutrients. But we got a couple that we've worked with over the years that seem to take it. A couple pop up every now and again, but they only restrict us, I only want 1 load or 2 loads, and sometimes it's not worth it, but we try and help where we can. Unique stuff. Might be a couple fish that flop around in there. We miss them, but
Yeah, they're good for the garden too.
yeah.
And the dried down material is like 10% of what you harvest, right? Like, I mean, like, because it's all water, like,
Yeah.
once you have a dried product, there's almost no volume left to it.
Yeah, I'd be curious if we actually turned it into a dry matter, because I think when we take 1 load, it's roughly 3,500
Sure.
pounds.
Sure.
And then it probably breaks down into, I'd be shocked if it was about 500.
You just generally bringing it here and letting it compost, or?
We got spots around the lakes, so we had to identify that in the permit as well, where it was going, make sure we weren't dumping it in a wetland and everything to that.
So you can't drag it out to the middle of Lake Ontario. Okay, you can't do that. Sorry.
Oh, no. Great, thanks. Tim, any other questions? Great. Solid waste?
Nope.
Cooperative extension?
Real quick, I'm still in recovery mode from fair last week, but beyond that, our new environmental natural resource educator that we're sharing with CC Seneca and Seneca County Soil and Water Conservation District started on Tuesday. Brad Ellis was hoping to get him here today, but he had a few IT startup things that he needs to get done, so, you'll be meeting him next month. And, glad to be working back to that, full staffing, like Karen.
Great. Any questions for Dan? No? City of Auburn, Seth, I think I saw you on. How are you?
What's up, guys? Good to see you. I can provide a quick update. So this week, Monday, our treatment plant activated our powder activated carbon treatment system for halves. We are starting to see trace algae on our membrane filter as we're testing the raw water, checking it every morning. First set of samples were sent to the lab this morning, so we'll have our first results back. We'll see. There could be potential for low-level microcystin in the raw water, not the finished water, we hope, but we are following the protocol outlaid by the health department. I believe the town of Wasco has activated their granular activated carbon train as well. So we're all hands on deck with that. As for the project at our wastewater plant, we are producing dry product that goes through digestion, mechanical pressing, and then across our glorified pizza oven. We're hitting the Class A biosolid numbers. We haven't gone through the rigorous testing and proof of that system yet with DEC to get that product classified as a Class A biosolid. But as you guys were talking about with the the plant material being pulled out of the lake, it's a similar concept. It's basically the dry product. You can kick your foot through it. Extremely dry. Should have a known NPK value to it. And barring any legislation or changes to biosolids could be utilized for beneficial reuse. And we're tracking that at the state level because of a lot of concerns around PFAS. City of Auburn has proactively tested their biosolids for PFAS, and we're below the US EPA, well below their guidance value for biosolids and land application. But you just never know what may happen at the state level with moratoriums and things like that could get put in place while they continue to study those potential impacts. So all well here. Our ORF project is continuing to proceed. We anticipate that project coming to a close later on this year. Want to thank Tim, Soil and Water Conservation District, for reaching out to the city on a potential partnership to do a similar project that you guys were talking about at Emerson Park, which would be some no-mow zones and some stream bank stabilization at our Hoops Park, which would involve right sizing a culvert there as well. So we're kind of at the early stages of that project, but potentially see not only the environmental benefit associated with properly restoring that stream as it runs through the park setting, but also incorporate some public interaction with those types of green infrastructure practices, and probably the heaviest used city park in the city of Auburn. So want to thank Tim and his team for working with us and trying to put together a cool project here in the city of Auburn as well.
Thanks, Seth. Any questions?
Thanks.
Has there already been like a presentation on the wastewater treatment plants, like solids thing? I'm very curious to learn more about that, and I don't know.
Yeah. Are you guys hooked up to just her lap, just to Michelle's laptop right now, or are we up on, am I up on the big screen?
You're on the big screen.
I am? Oh
You
boy, that
are.
makes, I should sit back, my head's too big then.
We were gonna say something earlier, but
You're
How-
one of
how-
three squares. It's okay.
How's the audio?
Good, it's fine.
Very good.
Let me see if I can share. I did a minute video of what this facility looks like. Happy to share it with a group. See if this works. You want me to give it a shot?
Sure.
can you blow him up, Michelle?
Well, if he shares the screen, it'll go
Oh,
full.
the whole thing, okay.
Yeah.
Got it?
Yes.
Got it.
You make that full size on your end, Seth?
Nice.
We don't have audio, Seth.
No audio. So that's our digester, reducing solids by 40%. 2% solids coming onto our press. That's our belt dewatering press where we take solids from 2% to about 20. There it drops off onto a hopper where we can decide which direction it goes. It can go to the landfill by way of a truck, or we can divert it to our pizza oven. It's a big pizza oven. I'm going to go up the stairs. You're going to be able to see the solids going into the main hopper of the dryer. There's a couple of ferros that are continually rotating to beat the sludge into smaller pieces and evenly distribute them across the dryer belt itself. That's the dryer itself. To the solids coming off the end of the belt dryer into a screw, which feeds up and over to a dry product storage can. That's the material coming in at about 75%. We built it large enough where we could store solids for seasonal disposal potentially, with the hope that it could be beneficially reused as a nutrient.
How many tons a day?
To be determined. So we are currently disposing of anywhere around, well, with our past system, we were disposing about 10,000 tons of wet, 20% dry material to a landfill. With digestion, we'll get that down to maybe 6,000 pounds. With drying, we could, there's 6,000 tons. With drying, we're hoping to get down below 2,000, maybe 1,000 to 1,500, something like that.
Tons per day?
Per year.
Per year.
So you got to divide those by 365. So, you know, we're pressing, filling about 535-ton trailers a week. We're down to about 3, and you know that could be potentially one a week.
Great.
Thank you, and thanks for the video too, I appreciate it. I know that you've done presentations on it before, but I'd never really seen it in action, so that's excellent, thanks.
Yeah, that's really kind of the first full take you through the entire process up and running video I've been able to take. I just grabbed that this morning, so you're my beta group.
Nice. For the premiere, we were the premiere.
It, pretty much, yeah, pretty much. I'm glad you couldn't hear my voice. I kind of go into robot mode a little bit. I'm like, we'll get there. But yeah, that's it. Anybody's interested in popping down, taking a look, reach out to me. We can try to schedule something out a couple of weeks. Takes, depending on how much in depth you want to go, we could probably look that over in about an hour.
Okay.
And I'll remind you, we're still working on that Central Chapter Niwea Poo and Brew. Remember that from one of our last meetings. The Poo and Brew is going to be big. It's going to be in October. We're going to start at the treatment plant and work our way over to Prison City for a couple of brews and to take a look at their industrial pretreatment process, which is critical for wastewater treatment plants that aren't designed for high strength waste, that industries incorporate some sort of a pretreatment to remove or reduce the BOD levels before they hit the sewer collection system, because high BOD strength waste can cause our wastewater treatment plant to exceed its capacity pretty quickly. So.
All right, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Seth? Thanks, Seth. Town of Wasco, I don't see Ed here. We do have a certificate of appreciation that we will present to him if we can get him to come to another meeting. So, in case you wondered, it is real. So there's witnesses here to say. Obviously, we want to thank Ed, for all his years of participation on the board, and we will do that at a later date. Anybody here for lake reports? Cayuga Lake? No. Cross Lake, see anybody? Duck Lake, Lake Como. Is there like a party going on? I don't
Yeah,
know
like
about?
all of our lake
All
associations
lake
are like, oh, you canceled August too, okay, bye.
Little Sodas Bay, no. How about Wasco Lake?
Here?
Yeah. Better speak up, we'll cruise right by.
Yeah. We just got Emerson Foundation grant, $25,000 for roadside ditch remodel, remediation, across there, sharing project with soil and water. Article going to citizen about be lake friendly, avoid monsters, follow up on your lake friendly living, and give people an incentive that they can avoid lake monsters if they are lake friendly, but I don't know if that'll work.
I love it.
Yeah.
See, that's why we gotta put the head and the tail on the weed harvester.
Model after Old Greenie for Cayuga Lake.
Nice.
Weedsport, or not Weedsport, Union Springs has the graphic on their kiosk at the product.
And then on August 19th, we're having an in-person meeting, the board, on Springside, dinner at 5 and meetings at 6:30 p.m. We did hear that the ESF SUNY study on PFAS in the lake has got preliminary approval, and that's maybe happening in the next year or so. And one of the warnings to people, if anybody's interested in taking sediment out of the lake with mollusks and phosphorus, they should be also watching out for PFAS for sure.
Okay. Excellent, thank you.
Welcome.
Any questions? Skaneateles Lake report. Okay. Regional Planning Board.
So, we've been doing stuff in Skaneateles Lake. I'm not in charge of the Skaneateles Lake watershed, but we did do the Skaneateles Lake watershed 9-element plan. So by way of kind of trying to do something to keep people informed, we're doing a public meeting August 26th at the lodge there in Skaneateles to kind of update the public on progress in implementing the 90. This is kind of my way of like weaseling out of having to actually prepare the kind of report that you prepared, Michelle. I'm trying not to have to do that. Instead, we're doing a meeting. We're going to have Soil and Water Conservation District there, a couple of like Finger Lakes Land Trust, CNY Land Trust, and a variety of other folks, Town of Skaneateles supervisor. Everybody just there to talk kind of briefly about what they've been doing for water quality in the watershed over the past, year or so. So that's August 26th. It's a Wednesday. It's at the lodge, 6 p.m.
kind of a panel. The idea is to do like a panel discussion rather than a whole bunch of slideshows. So we'll see how that goes. Not for nothing, I put in a grant application to Department of State for trying to do a plan for what's called Fuller Park at the south end of Skaneateles Lake. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. It's right next to, it's like in the town of Scott in Cortland County, right next to the town of Niles. If that comes through, that'll be an interesting project. That could be something where we talk about connecting, say, land trust lands to City of Syracuse lands to other properties, public lands that are all on the south end of Skaneateles Lake. So more to follow, hopefully, or not on that one. We are I think we're in the process of constructing that Winding Way stream bank stabilization project on the shores of Skaneateles Lake. That's been going on for a couple of years. Another interesting one, a couple of years ago, our office got a grant from the Forest Service to do a bunch of tree planting. It's a very large grant. And each of the soil and water conservation districts in our 5-county area is eligible for a bunch of money. So if you're interested in that, there's a contact at my office who can help you get a contract with our office to it's on the order of like $200,000 to do tree planting activities over the next several years. So
What's the eligible property?
yeah, that's a good question. It's got to be a disadvantaged community or on I believe the potential EJ list. So there's some restrictions. I can't remember off the top of my head, but maybe Carrie knows.
And I think it's public property too, right? It's not private, right?
Right,
It's supposed to be municipal owned property,
that's right.
streets, right of ways,
Yeah.
those type, right? It's supposed to be
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
but in Onondaga County, they're going to use the funds, the Soil and Water Conservation District has a little bit more latitude, so they can use it to fund like tree giveaways and stuff like that. So I don't know the ins and outs of that, but yeah, so that's kind of just like, it's like it's like an offshoot of the main project is for the Soil and Water Conservation Districts to do their stuff, so. And last but not least, we have talked, as I've been in these meetings, about the tributary map for the Owasco Lake watershed, and that's now finally done. And I have a framed version of it for your office. Yeah, so kind of good news to get that done. But thanks everybody. I mean, really, Michelle kept those meetings going, kept that conversation alive. But thanks everybody who participated in that. That's good to get that done.
For the tree planting, that's be in the Skaneateles watershed.
No, the tree planting is like in our 5-county area. So
Okay,
Cayuga, Onondaga, Portland, Madison, Oswego. Yeah.
There is a list of
Yeah,
eligible
that's right.
municipalities.
Yeah.
That I got like some quick photos of, because I missed the last
Oh,
regional
nice.
meeting, I was online. So regional planning has the list of eligible municipalities.
Yeah, and I think we're now in the process of like getting down to, say, the census tract level with the
Right.
mapping. Because it does get granular like that with what's eligible based on, income and poverty, but.
That's great. Thank you.
Aaron, thanks for all you've done to advance the updated protected streams map for the Owasco Lake watershed. Really appreciate that.
My pleasure. I mean, yeah, really, I didn't have to do very much.
You acted as the liaison for us on the project with the planning board, so appreciate that.
You're welcome. Yeah, my pleasure.
One piece on that particular project, we were looking at the possibility of having a digital version of that map available through Cayuga County Planning Real Property Services. And I'm not really sure what the next steps might be to try to take that forward. If that's
I've already sent it in.
You did, excellent.
They're hoping, Real Properties is doing like an environmental, is it a database? Is that what you call it? It's like, so you can look up septic systems, look up the protected streams.
Great. That's great, all right.
And he said he was hoping to get it up by the end of August.
Okay.
Yeah, so as long as we get the GIS shape files, then we'll be fine.
Scott has them. He's
Scott,
already,
perfect.
he's in the process of finalizing.
That's great.
We could probably also post like a static map that people can download or whatever,
Sure.
but yeah, he's working on that separate. I don't know if it was a separate interactive map from the parcel viewer, if it's adding layers to the parcel viewer.
It's a separate, they were
Yeah.
calling it like eco or something.
Yeah, I think he was talking about doing a separate one because the parcel viewer map is really bogged down with data right now. So they were trying to shift some data sets and then add some to a separate interactive map where you could find more of those types of letters and stuff.
And I'll let you know when it's live.
That's great. Thank you so much.
That's something we'll want to make sure Sierra gets involved in with Scott so that we're in the know.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody here for Cuyo? FLI? Who's online?
Matt, he's not one of the partners.
Okay. Finger Lakes Watershed Program. No. Adam?
Sure, yeah, I'll just provide some highlights. So subgroup for our OWASCO 90 Coordination Committee is sort of our implementation committee for the Clean Water Plan. Recently got together with a watershed farmer who has a property adjacent to Van Esbrook, for which there was a recent stream corridor assessment project made. And to sit down and sort of get a sense of his interest and buy-in and some of the recommended projects along his reach of the tributary. And for that, he was interested in 2 out of the 3 of the primary recommendations. So we're looking forward to working with him on that project. There's this alternate form of clean water planning called the Drinking Water Source Protection Plan. You may all be familiar with that. The water purveyors took advantage of that particular planning process that offered supplemental funding for consultants to develop the plan. And the consultant we work with engaged with us to say there's some additional funding available for advancing some of this, we'll say, the easier recommended projects within that plan. And so the purveyors elected to move forward with a model ordinance for the municipalities within the watershed. So we'll see where we go with that sort of model design. But I imagine the management council would be responsible for sort of advancing whatever that model looks like, working with the municipalities. What else to highlight? Tim commented on the stream bank stabilization project down the inlet. That project's really hit the ground running at this point. We have some interest in reconstructing a dismantled educational kiosk that's down on this sort of road pull-off on the southwest end of the lake along Westlake Road there. And it became so deteriorated, it was sort of falling apart, and Parks and Trails got in there and completed sort of dismantling this kiosk. And we've been sort of mulling over among partners whether or not we want to look at reconstructing the kiosk. Michelle has photos of the original panel signage that we could sort of use resource information from and build upon that information. But we've been connected with the owner of the parcel there. Turns out it was the Wetlands Trust, and to see if they have interest in the project and working with us to sort of reconstruct that kiosk. And there is interest. So we plan to meet on this next Tuesday, see what the various partnering organizations might bring to the table if there's continued interest in the project. Otherwise, at our upcoming board meeting, we'll be discussing shifting our board representation due to some new vacancies. So Ed Wagner was the chair of the Owasco Lake Watershed Management Council. He will be greatly missed for all the work he's done. And so since he's moving out, we'll be shifting around some directorship positions there. Otherwise, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to address, but I'm happy to take any questions.
I'll just note for you, Adam, when you guys get to the point of talking about that kiosk and updating it, if you want something a little bit sturdier, if you take a look at the Blue Way Trail, Cayuga Lake Blue Way Trail kiosks and birding trail kiosks that we did at Frontenac Park, John Harris Park, we used Fossil as the company for those. They're heavy duty, they are super durable. They have been up for 7-8 years, I don't know, they've been up for a while now, and they still look really great, and they're very durable, instead of like a wood-based kiosk. So when you get to that point, I'm happy to share that company's information with you if you want, but in the meantime, feel free to go check them out, because they're in great shape still.
Okay, thank you.
Adam, on the DWSB2 implementation, are you working, so you're working with State Department of Health, who's that?
So this one, it's funded through the Department of Environmental Conservation, but they fund the consultants directly to work with drinking water purveyors to develop the clean water plan. So, like for Skinny Atlas, there could be a possibility. We already had the 9-element
Yeah.
plan for phosphorus reduction, which is, I understand it in the hierarchy, is sort of a bit higher, right?
Yeah.
In terms of, the details and how it might be leveraged.
Yeah.
But that being said, it's a funded program where, you have support to maybe come up with new design initiatives and/or support that otherwise wouldn't be there.
Right, yeah, it was, right, like we've got, not to digress, but for Atisco Lake, we did a DWSB2 a couple of years ago. And only now are we learning that like it unlocks like sort of hidden funds that you don't have to compete for. So it's been kind of cool, but yeah, so that's an interesting prospect. If you've got other communities that if you've got water sources like that need or can benefit from a drinking water source protection plan. It's a fairly lightweight planning process. I mean, there's a review side and everything. My office could help with it, but at the end of it, you kind of can unlock these funds. I'm only learning about it now. It's kind of a wacky thing. Yeah.
It's, from what I understand, it's a small pot of money that the state is offering directly to those consultants to help facilitate those sort of easier projects within the plan.
Yeah.
But I also understand that as far as the clean water plan aspect, right, that like the 9-element plan, there are pathways to funding through grants applications, right? You sort of meet criteria and scoring within grant applications. But I sort of delving into this, I've learned that there's not one that necessarily ranks higher than the other. When you write the grant, you point to the plan, and if it's a state-approved plan, you can't score twice by having both plans.
Yeah.
You score once. But yeah, the pot I think is $25K per purveyor.
Okay.
So for us, since we did it for a law school in Skinny Atlas, I think that the consultant gets close to $50K to help us move forward. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. Any other questions for Adam? No? Greg, we gotta move you up because you're always at the last of the list. I feel like we should rotate those, but.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's
Fine.
Not a huge amount, still recovering from the fair last week that was just out of this world. Highly recommend that people go to that. It's just amazing how many kids there were.
Had between the animals and what we call our static projects, we had over 100 this year.
It's just amazing just watching kids doing the projects, the poultry, swine, dairy animals, beef. It's impressive, and it gives you an appreciation for the hard work that they put in, and there's a bright future ahead for pretty much all those kids and us, for those kids coming up through. We're working with a couple other counties. I've missed the last couple calls, but some other counties we're working with. Birthing Center was canceled this year at the state fair, which is too bad, but hopefully that'll be able to come back in the future. That's about it. Drink milk.
Drink milk. Can I just add one thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah, the mobile dairy experience is going to be coming back as part of conservation field days.
Great.
And I don't remember off the top of my head, I didn't bring the date for me, but one of the nights we'll have a public, there'll be a public we're going to set up stations and have an opportunity for the public to interact.
At the experience?
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. All right. Love it. Our team will coordinate with them, whatever they need.
Yep.
Okay. Yes. Further comments,
We
questions?
have an announcement on next month's meeting on our video conferencing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we still don't have quorum. So New York State authorized,
Yeah.
and the county will reauthorize or did reauthorize the virtual meeting law that allows people to join remotely. So the county will, and we will also have to do motions to approve that so that we can have folks join us and count for quorum virtually, which obviously is very helpful, as you can see, to make quorum, so.
Yeah, the ledge just passed theirs last week,
Okay.
so, Michelle and I will work on a resolution for next month.
Okay.
Similar to what we've done in the past, so that folks can be online and vote still.
Right, so,
Still encouraging everyone to come in person.
absolutely, absolutely, but we will be able to get that in place. At least
If we
2
have quorum
meetings
next
from
month.
now. If we have quorum next month, ironically. You have to come to get quorum to not come in the future. That's the way it is. Any other questions out there? Thanks, everybody, for your time. I appreciate it. Take a motion to adjourn. Sorry, Adam.
Yeah, I've got one more
Yeah.
point of discussion that maybe you could follow. So there's been a lot of talk recently about the development of data centers across the state, across the country. And so many of you may be aware that the governor put a moratorium on the development of the hyperscale data centers for 1 year. And there's a bill right now that's out there they're looking at, is A11560, and it's looking at some of the regulatory provisions around what our legislators believe should be in place to allow these developments to move forward. So if you're interested in that, there's always an opportunity for some advocacy. But I know there's a lot of concern for a variety of reasons about what that might look like moving forward.
Yeah.
A lot of our local municipalities, the city and a handful of towns have also put in moratoriums on data centers too. I mean, that would only be anything smaller that wouldn't go to the state siding board, much like solar and wind. But
Yeah, the sense that I have, it's not that the folks involved in the bill development, that our legislators are overwhelmingly against the projects. It's just more so that they're done in a way that's environmentally safe and responsible for workplace environment and everything. So
I think they share, what I've seen in the papers, I think they share some of the same concerns that our municipalities do as far as water usage and electric grid
Right.
and, all of those things, and making sure that, as to your point, that if it's gonna happen, where it's gonna happen is done in an environmentally safe way, responsible for our electric grid, and that those folks are then paying to make the improvements to the grid, because
Right.
the amount of electricity that they require just to operate, like the one that's proposed by TerraWolf down in Lansing, will need more electricity than that power plant ever put out in the grid when it was in operation.
yeah, right, that's unbelievable.
Like multiple times.
But when you look at issues like water source cooling and things like that, and land, and with the amount of resources that some of the firms that have invested in these,
Right.
there's a pretty big target on areas similar to ours.
And anyone who's,
Except for the lack of
right,
surplus power.
and anyone who's done anything or kept up with Cayuga Lake knows how controversial the water source cooling out of Cornell was
Yeah.
and still is. And so putting in a data center that is going to up that ante by exponentially amounts, and the effect that will have on Cayuga Lake as far as, water quality, our fishery, all of the things, right, is a serious concern, so. That's good.
And we do have case studies around if anybody was ever interested in that. I don't know if you're familiar with the Green Ridge facility that's over at Seneca Lake, but that was put into crypto mining use several years ago. And so a lot of the similar issues that they have experienced there, it's an interesting case study and exactly what's happening in the Finger Lakes as far as using lake water to do cooling and the effects that has on the discharged water bodies and obviously power and things like that. So it's not unheard of. The scale is kind of unheard of what's currently happening, but we do have some, I believe it's the Seneca Lake Guardian Group.
Yes.
Has done a lot of extensive study and work there on the impacts of that.
And funny story, so if anyone looks at any of like the Finger Lakes area papers, Greenwich just changed their company name the last few weeks and are shifting away from crypto and now going to data center and AI support. They still have to get their air permits and their water pollution permits from DEC, but they're trying to quietly shift away from Bitcoin and still trying to push the same language of we'll put power back in the grid, excess of whatever we need, blah, 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 you know.
Now it's Vulcan.
Vulcan, yeah, they've rebranded, renamed themselves, so. But Seneca Lake Guardians is keeping an eye on them, so they caught it right away. It did not, like, within a week of them legally changing their name, it hit the papers.
Interesting things to keep an eye on. Okay. Anything else? For the good of the order, as they say? If not, I take a motion to adjourn.
Well, we don't have to, because we don't have quorum, we can
Yeah,
just close
great.
it.
All right, see you later.
We're just gonna leave.
Walk out.
We're leaving.